lads, welcome back to a brand new episode of the toonTALK podcast brought to you by Magpie 24/7. I am joined today by someone who is making their very first podcast appearance. Very early season. It is Chris. How are you doing, mate?
Hello, everybody who's watching, and hello to Ian. Thank you for having me on here. I've never done the podcast before, have I?
No, I don't think you
I
have,
was
no. It's an
no,
absolute
no, I was
pleasure
not.
to have you.
Yeah. I was gonna do it a while ago, but I obviously never got around to doing it. But yeah, no, it's good to be on here so early in the season as well. I thought, why not jump on it early doors instead of waiting later on in the season. But been doing it for a while now. I remember doing a video with Levi back 2024, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
End of 2024, early 2025.
Yeah.
So yeah, to do the podcast, I'm quite excited to do it, mate. So thanks for having us.
All right, no worries at all. Thanks for being here with me. And I am really excited to talk some Newcastle with you as well because the Premier League season has gotten underway. Yes, people, the Premier League is back and it opened for us with an absolute bang against Liverpool, probably one of the most loaded fixtures on the calendar this entire season. What were your thoughts going into this fixture before a ball was kicked?
You know what? I've got to be one of those people who's quite honest here and
Mm-hmm.
say that going into the fixture, I thought we were gonna lose. I didn't think we were gonna win.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I thought we had a bunch of young lads who didn't look up to Premier League standard yet. Looking at pre-season, I didn't feel like they were quite there. But then I thought about it, more in a pragmatic sense, and thought actually they were playing a team of two halves with two different teams.
Mm-hmm.
So I was quite interested in that, to be honest with you. But really happy that I was wrong, and really happy that and the boys proved me wrong. To be honest, I'm happy to be honest about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So was I. I wasn't necessarily. I mean, I was looking forward to it because it has been a while, and you just want the Premier League to be back. But there are easier fixtures to open your season to than Liverpool. So I was really nervous to see what we were going to be like, perform like in that game. But
Yeah,
honestly, I was pretty impressed. Let's first of all talk about the starting lineup. We have a voice note from Paul coming in with his reaction to the lineup as well. So let's have a listen to that one.
Now, this isn't something I would say very often, but this is an occasion where what happens before the match is actually much more important than actually what happens in the 90 minutes of action that takes place afterwards. The entire city of Newcastle will be shown their respect, love, admiration, worship, for Kevin Keegan. He was like a god up here. He really was. I'm not religious. However, when it comes to this club, when it comes to people like Kevin Keegan, that is the spiritual aspect of life for me, and many others, I would guess. So yeah, it's going to be very emotional, and this is before we've even kicked the ball in anger. Speaking about which, the team news has dropped, and the new era, Newcastle United 2.0, officially gets going today for with Matthias Jaissle. It's pretty much as I expected. The one change I predicted beforehand that hasn't come true is Ramsey. It's in fact Shonster. I'm happy with that. Very encouraged by what I've seen so far pre-season from the young lad. He plays like a 25, 26-year-old anyway. Plays with maturity beyond his years. And how about this? An 18-year-old and a 20-year-old in the centre of midfield for Newcastle United. Fuck me. Youth we are going for, but that could be our midfield pairing for the next decade. Just want to keep hold of them, obviously. Going through the team, Hornacek in goal, I think it's the right thing. He's been brought in. He hasn't had the best pre-seasons, but he's been brought in as the number one. He needs to be given 10, 12 games to be able to establish himself and to show what's what. I like Ewan Joan a lot. He's on the bench. Across the back, it's as we expected. Dedic in at right back, keen to see how he plays and how he performs on that side. And then the two in the middle, we haven't really got a lot of options. We've got Fabian Schär on the bench. We've got Malik Chow and Sven Botman in the middle. Let's hope Sven's got all of his errors out of the system. Dan Burn out for 6 weeks is a complete another kick in the nuts. We may look to go into the transfer market, maybe bring a loan player in with that news, but that's for later on. That's for another day. Left back, Lewis Hall. Midfield, as I touched upon before, Miley and Stir, a very youthful, inexperienced, but bags of potential. I like the sound of it, to be honest. I'm smiling as I'm saying that. So I'm all for that and all for them two playing in there. Further forward for them, playing in the sort of number 10 position, looks like it's going to be Wissa. He's done that for Congo, happy enough with him playing there. He'll try and get forward and do up and support Isula. And they have got either side of them Harvey Barnes, who has obviously signed a new contract over the summer. It's going to be a major player for us. We need him to chip in with goals, because that's going to be one of the big issues this season, goals, if we don't sign anybody else. So Harvey Barnes is big for that. And on the other side, was it going to be Murphy? No, it's going to be Alanga. Great World Cup, a fantastic start to pre-season. He had that, I was going to say tackle, but it was more like an assault over in Spain. Hasn't come back to the same levels since, but look, this is the opportunity, this is the platform, this is the day to turn it on. We've talked before about pre-season, the results have been indifferent, inconsistent, haven't been great. Doesn't matter. What matters is today, and I hope they turn up. They're intense with everything that they do. They try and get the ball forward as quickly as possible, and we try to cause Liverpool problems. I'm probably going into the ground with more hope than expectation. However, I said exactly the same thing on the cup final day, and how did that one work out? It worked out pretty well, didn't it, in the end? We owe them one after what happened last season as well. That was another kick in the nuts. So we owe them one from that one. But I'm still going to stick with the heart over the head and say I'm predicting 2-1 to Newcastle United. Fingers crossed, heading down to the ground now, and let's see what happens today.
And then let's give our honest thoughts on the starting lineup. We started with new signing Lukas Hornicek in goal, Lewis Hall on the left back, with Botman and Thiaw being our centre back duo, and Dedic coming in straight away to make his debut on the right hand side. A double pivot in midfield of Sean Steur and Louis Miley, with Johan Wissa in at number 10, Elanga and Barnes on the wings, and Osula up top. What did you make of that starting 11?
Yeah, mate, that's exactly what I was worried about. Was honestly, as much as I love Lewis Miley coming off the back of his injury last season, I was not sure what level he would return at. Does that make sense? I wasn't sure if he'd have like some kind of injury or if there was going to be some kind of knock, as we saw with Wissa when he got injured with Congo before last season. He was not the same player last year. So I was worried that was going to happen, to be honest, with Miley a little bit. And obviously with Botman as well, he was a big concern for me, as was Dedic. I'd never seen Dedic play before. Obviously, I played Newcastle in the Champions League, but bar that. So yeah, for me, it was one of those where I was nervous. A lot of things on that were risks. But at the same time, if you don't take those risks, you don't get the rewards that we did get from those players. And I think the manager deserves credit for that. He proved a lot of people wrong.
Yeah, completely agreed, mate. I think very, very good point about Louis Miley, about the fact that he came back from injury, and there are always doubts about how a player does come back from such a long-term injury. He had injury struggles throughout the whole of last season, to be fair. Even though last season was kind of his breakout season, because he actually showed how important he can be for us. And yeah, he showed it again in this game. He was absolutely unplayable in the middle of the park. I think a lot of the plaudits from our midfield went to Sean Steur afterwards, and I have been massively impressed with Steur. But I do think Miley was better in this game.
I think so. Mate, do you want me to move indoors just as dog is?
I can't hear the dog, so...
Okay, that's good. Sorry, I just wasn't sure if you could hear
No
that.
worries.
I'm all good. Yeah, so... Sorry, can you repeat the question again? I was just distracted.
Whether you agree that Louis Miley was actually more impressive than Sean Steur, or you would back the Newcastle fans praising and singing Sean Steur's name at the moment?
That's such a difficult question. I almost feel like that's like choosing between my two favorite sons. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have any kids, but like that's almost like that level of question there, mate. I love them both. They're both quality young lads. But if I had to say the better player on the day was probably Lewis Miley, just because he showed that little bit more Premier League experience for me. However, that equally is an argument for Stay that it makes it more impressive for him. So that's what I mean. It's as my nan would say, mate. It's 6 and 2 threes. You know what I mean? They're both as good as each other. To
Yeah.
be fair, yesterday.
Yeah, I completely agree. I was really impressed with Stur as well. More so his work ethic impressed me yesterday because throughout the preseason I've been impressed with the silkiness of his ball control, his forward-thinking play, his passes. But yesterday there were actually some passes that he did misplace, but he's an 18-year-old kid. He's going to misplace passes, especially in his first Premier League game against Liverpool. So I'm completely fine with him trying to take those risks and maybe them sometimes not coming off. I think.
I think that was the message, you know.
Mhm.
Sorry to interrupt there. I
No
think that
worries.
was the message from Jaissle was take the risk, because he seems to be, you know, when we discuss like identity, Newcastle's new identity, is it
Mm.
risk taking? Is that our identity now? Are we now risk takers?
Yeah, I'd love us to be.
Because Jaissle took a big chance putting Dedic in, where he's
Mm.
been in the building less than a week and he's on the pitch, you know, so that's a big risk, isn't it? As
Yeah.
well as, you know, like putting the two youngsters in instead of having, you know, Jacob Ramsey in there or Joe Willock. He's went for the two young lads, and
Mhm.
that's a bold move. That's a really bold move. So, and then the players complement that with how they're playing. You know, we saw risks from Dedic, we saw risks from Stur, as you mentioned. So I think, to me, it's almost like our identity's becoming risk takers, and we're, you know, they look like they're fighting for every single ball. They're risking themselves to fight for
Mhm.
every single ball. And I don't know, mate. I'm quite impressed with everything yesterday, to be fair. But especially the whole identity change. I was sick of Eddie Howe's boring, lackluster, same backwards passing.
Mhm.
And thank you, Eddie, for what he done. And I'm not even trying to talk about him for too long because I know people are sick of that. You know.
That's understandable. No, honestly, I think the risk-taking part is a very, very good point to make because starting such a young double pivot against Liverpool, who honestly are usually all-out attack because they've got about 3 defenders and 7 attackers in their starting 11. So playing such a young double pivot and playing Amad Dedic when he's not even been inside of the building for more than a week is a big risk, like you say, but it also does allow the players to just know that taking risks is okay. And if sometimes a risk doesn't come off your way, that sucks, but it is also, again, okay, because the one time it does come off, you actually do get a lot of chances. One thing I noticed yesterday, which was night and day difference to me with an Eddie Howe team, was that we were ahead of Liverpool twice, and to me, the game plan did not shift once. The game plan was still the same. Still, try and be physical, try and get in their face, and whenever we get the opportunity, counterattack. Because the pace and the physicality in this team is absolutely lethal. Absolutely
Mhm.
lethal. Let's talk about the attack some more. What did you think about Wissa playing in the number 10 role? That was something that took me quite by surprise quite a lot as well.
He won player of the match, didn't he?
Mm-hmm, he did.
I think with him um yesterday, it was a different Johan Wissa. Obviously, everyone's saying it. Like, just to reiterate it, it was a different Johan Wissa.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely class, wasn't he? He was just the way he was picking up the ball. For me, what was really impressive is the way he was getting back into his own half, picking up the ball and driving it forward. And he was just buying with, at times, he was just buying with 10, 20 yards
Mm-hmm.
and really relieving that pressure.
Yeah.
And I felt like last season we didn't really have much pressure relief, but it was a new kind of outlet that I don't think we saw last season. And it was almost like, and I don't know if this is going to make sense to many people, but Harry Kane-esque, the way he was
Mm-hmm.
picking up the ball deep and driving up forward, and and just able to sort of try and distribute it, play the pass, you know, and look for his man. I just thought he was a really decent number 10, but for me, he's not a number 10, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he can play there and he can do a job there like he did yesterday, but I think would be wasting goals if we keep him there, you know. I really do.
Yeah, I do agree with that because again, I was really surprised to see him starting in that role. I never thought we'd have started the season with Wisa and Osula in the same starting lineup, but there we were. Um, and he actually really did surprise me, but we still clearly are looking for a number 10, so I don't necessarily believe that Matthias Jaissle thinks this is Wisa's game to begin with, but like you said, his hold-up play, really impressive. I genuinely did not know Wisa had that in his locker, to be fair, because he is a unbelievably lightning quick poacher kind of striker with an instinct for where to be, when to arrive late in the box. But yesterday he was running the show. He genuinely was dropping deep, keeping an overview over the entire pitch, distributing long passes, short passes, setting up counterattacks. Really impressive stuff from him. If we were to miss out on signing a number 10, or actually, I'm going to pose the question differently. Do you think with Wisa's performance yesterday, signing a number 10 is our biggest priority before the window is shut?
Good question. That is it. The biggest priority. I don't know if we can talk about the biggest priority
Mm-hmm.
because we've got other positions that we sort of need to focus on. I think right now. But I would like to see another. I would like to see a number 10 come in pretty soon.
Mm-hmm.
But I am still a little bit worried about a few other sort of positions as well. To be honest with you, to be honest, coming into the season, I had concerns about the right wing, but obviously with the way Alanga played yesterday, he's put them to bed. Left wing, I've got no worries. Harvey Barnes. Toure not coming on yesterday was a bit of a surprise for me. What
Yeah.
do you think about that?
Yeah, that was a surprise to me too, because he probably was the signing I think most Newcastle fans have been most excited over the summer, because I mean he cost a lot of money, he's an attacker, he played at the World Cup, so excitement will be high for him. But yeah, I was surprised to not even to see him come off the bench. To not see him in the starting lineup, that wasn't necessarily too big of a surprise to me, because I do think it's kind of the same as if we would have signed Victor Munoz. The one part of play where they really shine is if you won't be having any sort of possession, uh, you have to play on the counter attack. And we had already had some players on the pitch that were going to be focusing on counter attacking those scenarios. So actually having one attacker who is more comfortable keeping the ball, trying to look for shooting locations rather than his teammates, which I think was Harvey Barnes yesterday, and it didn't necessarily work for Harvey Barnes. But the idea of having two completely different profiles on each side, I do understand that. But to not even see him come off of the bench, Bazou Toure, that is a bit of a shame, because I would have liked to see him make his Premier League debut. But what I also
Yeah,
did like was the fact that I saw him smiling and laughing even when we had already made five substitutions and he knew he wasn't coming onto the pitch. So I do think this is a good kid.
I think he knows he'll get his chance. Like
Mm,
he's not been brought for no reason. Maybe he's got some work to do, but he'll get his chance. I think he will. He looks like a rap player, to be fair. But just coming into to your previous question and just going into the rest of the team there as well, looking into the midfield, it depends for me. If Joe Willock goes out, then yeah, I'd like to see another midfielder come in. I think that would become the priority.
yeah.
So that's a big thing for me. If Willock goes out, I think it does leave a bit short there in the midfield. One or two injuries and we're done. Same with the fullbacks, left back, right back. If we get
Mm,
one or two injured, and the centre backs, because Dan Burns injured now, Fabian Shaw's in his mid-30s.
mm,
So by the time Fabian Shaw's, this half a season in, he gets an injury in January just after the window closes. What we're gonna do, mate? We're trying to run off two centre backs to the ground for the rest of the season. It's it's I don't know. I think we need to look at what ifs a little bit. And yes, don't get us wrong, like Wissa is not the best number 10 in the world, but he could definitely do a job there. And I think for me, the priority is just strengthen up a little bit in numbers in the back right now. And if a midfielder goes, bringing in another midfielder But do we already need to replace Bruno Tonali? Do we not already need to do that, or do you think these young lads are gonna? Do you think they're good enough? Do they make the cut? Is Lewis Miley and Sean Stay an absolute bargain saver? Have they just saved us 100 and something million? That's the question for me now.
Yeah. Yeah, I do think that's a really interesting point. On tightening up the back line and actually getting some personnel in there, I do think a centre back would really be one of my priorities before the window shuts, over a number 10. I think we have cover in the number 10 role right now. Off the top of my head, Woltemade can play there, Ramsey can play there, Willer can play there. Now we've seen Visa can play there. So we do have cover in that sort of position, even though none of those players is really a creator per se. We do still have warm bodies that can fill that role. Whereas with Jaissle's high back line and with Botman's injury record, with Burn, I think Burn is out injured now, if I'm not mistaken. Cher is not getting any younger. Chow is pretty much the only centre back who is really suited to playing such a high line, in my opinion. So getting in someone who's young, athletic, someone who's also got a bit of ball playing capabilities to give us more options when playing out from the back, I think that would be a really, really savvy pickup before the window slams shut. But I also do think a midfielder who can offer us a bit more physicality and maturity in the middle of the park wouldn't be amiss, because yes, the ceiling of Miley and Stur is unbelievably high, but with two such young midfielders and with Alaji Bamba behind them, for example, it's not that hard to see that if results drop, regaining confidence might be hard if there isn't a mature head amongst them to kind of calm the nerves whenever necessary.
Yeah, because that's one thing. As much as we're all being glory, we need to look at the other side of things and be like, yesterday we didn't really face the adversity that we could have faced. We didn't go behind, and I know they managed to square it up, draw 1-1 and that, but obviously they weren't level for more than 3 minutes, and so for me, that's one thing I want to it's not that I want to see it, but I kind of want to see how the lads react to going behind. That would be an interesting one for me. And if the young lads can go behind and come back, then fantastic. Then they have saved with money, Ian. But if the young lads can't get the heads up, then we're going to need, like you said, a leader, some experience in there to help them out.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Like you said, it would have been interesting to see how this bunch of players would have reacted if we did go behind. But that wasn't to be, because after 5 minutes already, Newcastle broke from a brilliant counter-attack, and Osula played through Elanga with a perfectly weighted ball to send Elanga through one-on-one with the goalkeeper, and Elanga finished it off like he wasn't waiting an entire season to score his first Premier League goal for Newcastle United. So that was a really, really good finish to see.
Clean as you like, wasn't it? Absolutely lovely stuff, yeah. Nothing, I couldn't have said it better myself, mate. It was just really good to see.
Absolutely, and from there onwards, it looked like we continued the same game plan, which is something I like to see, because that was a big criticism of Eddie Howe last season, that we kind of sunk in whenever we got some semblance of a lead and tried to suffer our way through to the 3 points, which we almost never got. So that was really frustrating. Good to see that. Okay, we didn't get the 3 points yesterday, but we still tried something else. And then it was halftime. Let's have a listen to what Paul's thoughts were when in the stadium at the break.
So, for the first time this season, we're back at St James's Park. It's half-time. Voice is just about holding up, and we are 1-0 up. Fantastic, great atmosphere, fantastic tribute before, a ball was kicked. I said for the first time ever, really what went on before the match was more important than the actual match. I don't say that very often, but it was a fitting, touching tribute. It was immaculate, it looked amazing, sounded amazing in the stadium. obviously Kevin Keegan's family's here today, touching, perfect. Credit to all flags and everybody else. What do you think of that first 45, Kyle?
Yeah, before I go into the game, the tribute before the match was unbelievable from both Newcastle and Liverpool side, showing like the Keegan banner on the away end and stuff like that. Fantastic from both sets of fans, which is great. It shows some things are bigger than football, and Kevin Keegan, with how much he meant to both teams, is certainly that. But onto the first half. What a brilliant counter-attacking run from Alanga. He had a bit of an open doors closed moment, similar to last season with Villa. He had a one-on-one chance and he missed that one. And this time he's took it, so hoping to start a really good season for him, because he really deserves a good opportunity to really showcase his skills. Showing a bit of leadership with Dedic as well towards the end of the first half. But yeah, we've grafted, we've played really well. Wissa surprisingly as well, as playing out position in the number 10, linking up play really well. We've defended fantastic so far. Limited Liverpool on both flanks and limited Rap as well on that side. He's been limited a couple of touches of the ball, but other than that, every time he's touched the ball, he's been booed out of the ground. So yeah, it has been a really good half, but we've got to keep this going. The lessons from last season for the players that are still here are very much, we need to keep on top of it and learn the lessons, because how many times did we have the lead last season and it go to waste? I know it's a new manager and stuff, but there are still a couple of players here that had that hurdle that they still need to get over from this season now. So yeah, it's a big 45 minutes. So need to keep defending, keep doing what we're doing, and keep hitting them on the counter, because they're very open to it, especially when they overcommit those fullbacks. They're very little, and Van Dijk looks like he's lost a little bit of pace. So it's just going to take a little bit more to get in behind, and I think 60-70 minutes, get Bazar Toure on and really get in behind these and try and get a second goal, because at the minute I think we can keep defending well, but I expect a little bit more from Liverpool as the game goes on. But so far, really happy with what the game plan's been and what we're looking to do in this game.
Yeah, and I will say, look, regardless of how this match finishes, we may win it, may draw, we may lose it yet, but regardless, it's encouraging that this is the way the manager's setting up. High intensity, high press. Every ball he tries to make a forward pass, make something of it, make something happen. I think the only negative, from the first half is free kicks. If we do sign a number 10, you said it in the first half, needs to be somebody who can take a free kick, preferably.
100%.
That's the only critique. Heavily watering the pitch at half time. Shithausen, I like to see it, I really, really do. But yeah, regardless to what happens, encouraging signs under Matthias Jaissle, under Newcastle United 2.0. And it may take Kyle a couple of weeks, a month or so before we see the full effect of the new manager, but the green shoots of recovery are definitely there.
100%. I mean, we've seen a solid game plan here as the games went on and stuff like that so far. Obviously, it's how we keep going and how we keep playing in this game. Liverpool are going to give it a bit more in the attacking front in the second half. So we need to hold strong and need to be strong on that front.
And Isak can't be as bad, can he, in that second half?
Well, we keep nullifying him and marking him. Chow's done a good job of that so far. So that's it. It's a case of concentration, keeping it tight at the back, and when we do hit them on the break, being ferocious in that. But yeah, it's looked good so far. I am expecting a little bit more from Liverpool, but it'll be interesting to see what happens as the game goes on. Look, we need to keep hitting them on the break, keep getting those chances, and hopefully we can see it out.
Yeah. And if Hornicek manages to keep a clean sheet, I'm going to be very horny. Right. I could be coming back and full time very horny indeed. So hot time, 1-0 to the Mags.
And then after halftime, we start okay for 10 minutes, I think. And then we concede a pretty annoying goal from outside of the area to Cody Gakpo. I thought before conceding that goal, Hornicek, for example, was having a pretty good game himself as well. What were your first impressions about the goalkeeper?
Who was having a good game himself, sorry?
Hornicek, our new goalie.
Hornacek. Yeah. Hornacek was playing decent, wasn't he? Made a couple of really good saves, to be fair. I've got a friend from the Czech Republic, to be honest.
Okay.
He's from Prague, and he was telling me about Hornacek. Obviously, he's the national keeper as well. He's a good keeper, and I think we had some doubts, didn't we, pre-season whether or not he was going to be number one, but
Yeah.
I think he's proved himself there for sure for me. And I think yesterday before the goal as well, and even after the goal, mate, he was pretty consistent and much better than Nick Pope for me. So
Yeah.
happy with that, like.
Yeah, absolutely. I think both him and Alisson actually had brilliant games because there were chances for us to I mean win it by taking a 2 or even a 3 goal margin. There were chances for Liverpool to get back into the game sooner, but both keepers had a really brilliant game. And then in the 55th minute, like I said, Cody Gakpo equalizes. Right after he does, Joe Willock steps onto the pitch, and pretty much a minute later, he's on the score sheet as well. That is some way to make an instant impact, isn't it?
Talk about it like impact sub, absolutely. But I do wonder though now, like, because he was off. I don't know if you've seen it at the end, Ian, but at the end of the game, he come out and he was clapping by himself, like he was
I
clapping on
saw
his one.
pictures, yeah.
Aye, so I do wonder if that was a message, like, is Willock actually on his way out this time, and was that his goodbye game? And if so, like I said, then we do need to replace. We need a star midfielder. If Willock goes, we do need a star midfielder because that's the thing. But at the same time, Willock is he the answer? Is he actually the answer though? Because he's done this before, mate, when he's had a decent game and then he's done rubbish after. So
Yeah.
we'll see like what happens. But if he does go, I don't think I'd be too disgruntled by it. I'd feel like we're cashing in while we can. So I wouldn't be mad at that. Like, but he's been a great servant and he kept up and fair play. Willock, got a lot of respect for him. Like.
Yeah, I do tend to agree. I saw some reports quoting £20 million for Joe Willock, in which case I think I'd snap your hand off for £20 million.
I'd take that like that.
But apart from that, I would miss the kind of player he is, because I do think on his day Joe Willock actually did have the potential to be even on the fringes of the England squad. I, for example, remember an outside of the boot assist
Yeah, I did have about that. I did have maybe back like 3 or 4 years ago when he joined from Arsenal and he done them 7 goals in what, like
Yeah.
5 or 6 games. I did have when he done that madness, like maybe then, but no, not for a long time for me.
No,
No.
understandable. And I'm more so saying I believe he has the talent level to be there, not the performances that I do absolutely wholeheartedly agree with.
Fair enough, like fair enough.
All right, and then afterwards, so Willock puts us back into the lead. It looks, for all love and money, like we are going to see out this game and finally get a victory over Liverpool. And then, for as punishment for us daring to dream, of course, 15 seconds before the final whistle, Lewis Hall kind of brings down the Liverpool attacker. I don't know. What did you make of the penalty situation?
Same as what Jaissle said, it was soft. Simple as that. It was soft. There was nothing to it. And I saw a foul in the Aston Villa and the Brighton game. Much like the same foul that they called against Lewis Hall. However, in the Aston Villa Brighton game, it wasn't given. Obviously, in our game, it was given. So people obviously are claiming like there's an agenda there. So I don't really know, mate. But for me, it wasn't a pen. It was far too soft. And again, we've already, after game 1, seeing that immediate inconsistency in refereeing standard.
Yeah.
And I can't be bothered for a season of referees making the season again. Do you know what I mean, mate? Like, I actually can't be bothered for it. Like, there was like playing till Liverpool scored. You know what I mean? That's how it felt.
Completely agreed. I'm somebody who doesn't necessarily like penalties to begin with, even the ones that are correct according to the letter of the law, because I usually think even the correct penalties turn a 0.02 or 0.03 xg chance in a 0.78 xg chance, which is just a punishment that to me never fits the crime, or almost never fits the crime. So I'm never a big fan of just giving penalties away. And at the start of this season, the referees actually had said that this wasn't going to be a season where soft penalties were going to be given. Yet immediately match day one a soft penalty is given, and immediately it is given to one of the bigger clubs in the league, which, I mean, this was going to be the season where the traditional Big Six retook the mantle and reclaimed their position of power. Well, Man United and Tottenham are sat beautifully in the relegation zone yet again, like they are very comfortably were over the last 2 seasons. City nearly fumbled, Liverpool nearly fumbled, Chelsea still playing tonight. I mean, like I was suspecting at the start of the season, it's pretty much only Arsenal who is turning up out of the big dogs. So yeah, all this big talk over the summer has pretty much been for nothing, hasn't it?
Well, I think, Ian, like, what we've got to think about, obviously, this is Newcastle podcast, so I don't really want to get into other teams so much, but there's been a lot of change over a lot of these teams. You know, City,
Yep.
we've seen a huge change. Manager's gone, lost a lot of players and that as well. And obviously, there's been the Rodri links, which has been a problem for them to deal with. With obviously with Spurs, we've seen a big overhaul, bunch of new players coming in, and again, like, there's a bunch of changes at these players. I am interested to see Chelsea tonight because there's not been a massive change around there. So I think Chelsea
Xabi
and
Alonso is a big change.
Chelsea and Liverpool, I think for me, like, I think they're going to be decent this season. Villa fell off a cliff. They've been running the was it the Unai Emery train for too long.
Yeah.
I think that's finished. So for me, I think the Unai Emery thing reminds me of Eddie Howe, to be honest, as well. I think they've run it for too long. I think what we're going to see now is a bit of a change up in the league. I think people have had these biased expectations for too long, and we're going to see a change. We'll see new teams enter the top six that were not expected to, like last season. Obviously, teams getting Europe that we didn't expect to get. So I think we'll see something similar, you know. I think we'll not see the traditional Big Six. I think that's a load of malarkey, and it's not actually going to be coming to fruition.
Yeah, honestly, I would love to see it. I would absolutely love it. Is there anything else you'd like to add to the Liverpool game before we move on to the final subject?
No, mate. No, I just like to say, mate, it was absolutely top class. Absolutely top class. Like, I'd like to see it again. Really,
Completely
was
agreed.
nice.
Yeah. If you'd have told me at the start of the game that we were going to get a draw from this, I would have absolutely snapped your hand off for it. The circumstances of the game made that a draw was a bit more disappointing at the end, but still, a point in the first game against Liverpool is brilliant because it means we're still unbeaten and we have one of the most difficult fixtures already out of the way in this calendar. So that's brilliant. Let's listen to what Paul's final thoughts were after this game.
Well, oh my word. Gutted right at the end. Again, it happens. Drama right at, well, I was going to say right at the end of the game, but it was past the end of the 5-minute stoppage time that they said. It seemed to me that referee was determined to either make it about himself or get Liverpool to get something out of the match, and that's what happened right at the end. He could have blown up. The goal kick was taken after the 5 minutes were up, but no, he decides to play on, and like a predictable script, like something off a soap opera, past the stoppage time, he points for a penalty kick. Liverpool got a get out of jail card. They didn't deserve anything out of that game. We deserved the 3 points. Even the most deluded Scouser, I think, would agree with that one. I thought, for a man, Newcastle were absolutely fantastic. We made changes. We were reactive as opposed to waiting for set times to make set changes. We could and should have perhaps scored more. Wissa had 1 or 2 more excellent opportunities. I thought Wissa was really good actually during the game. Just a shame he couldn't have put away one of those other few chances that he had. But to a man, I mean, a 20-year-old and the 18-year-old in your midfield, I thought they were fantastic. Defensively, despite conceding 2, I thought Chow was wonderful. Botman, really good. Impressed by what I saw from Derek on his debut. Lewis Hall, contender for man of the match. I know what happened towards the end, but I thought he was great. Still, the wingers worked tirelessly. Great goal for Alanga, a free ball for him as well to create the opportunity. Harvey Barnes grafted all day, and the substitutes come on and all put a performance in, and I'm just gutted that once again there's late drama. You aren't talking about the great football, you're talking about the stupid referee decision once more, and it spoils it. It does spoil it a little bit, but I'm immensely proud of the effort, the graft, the shift that they put in. That was much more like it. We didn't see any of that fight last season, sadly. And if that's the benchmark for this season, I think we'll have a very, very, very good season. Willock at the end, slightly separate to the rest of the group. Waving, especially down where we were in the Gallagher end, took a long time waving. He was soaking it all in, and if that is his last game in a Newcastle shirt, what a parting gift that he gave us. A great goal, and he's had his injuries and he's missed time, but when he's played, he's been solid, he's been good, he's been dependable. He's had nothing but nice things to say about Newcastle United, and if he does go and goes for the fee that's been reported, then thank you, Willoquinho. And we go again. We've got to dust ourselves down. Look, you know, the new manager's been there, 18 days, and has managed to do that turnaround. What's it going to be like in another couple of weeks, a couple of months, when he's fully embedded with his system? We've made a couple of more signings, etc, etc. So green shoots of recovery today. I was happy with a lot of what I saw, to be honest. I couldn't really pick out anybody to be at fault. Even the penalty kick, you know, Hornacek, it's going to be difficult to save that type of one when it's literally top bins. And obviously Isak got the he got what he deserved off the crowd. He was booed throughout, he was jeered, he was mocked, he was told a couple of home truths. He got exactly what he deserved at the end of the day. I have no qualms in saying that. What so fucking ever. Greedy bastard and all that sort of thing. I've just got back to the car. Walk up the side of a mountain to get back to the car. But I missed that. I missed the adrenaline rush. We deserved the 3 points. That's my only sort of slight critique. But with the work they've had to do, cram it into 18 days, imagine what they're going to be like when this system is fully instilled. Lots of talk about youthful players and lack of experience, but if we can add a couple of more players to this, we can have a good season. There's no reason why we can't. Age, you know, it might raise eyebrows for some, having like an 18-year-old and a 20-year-old in midfield, and you're bringing on more teenagers in off the bench, but fuck me, they're good enough. They're good enough. They're more than good enough. And you know, the new manager has got one signing through the door so far. If you can bring in those 2 to 3 others in the key positions, then there's no reason why we can't have a very, very, very good season this time around. It'll certainly be entertaining. It'll certainly be a roller coaster. And who knows what we can do this season. But Liverpool must feel awfully lucky to escape that game, even with a point. Yes, they had lots of possession, but I don't think they did particularly much with it. The referee helped them. The referees, I was scratching my head throughout, to be honest, at some of the decisions that he made and calls that he made and stuff like that. But why am I not surprised? It's very much of a muchness. It's what we always seem to get off the PGMOL. It's what we always seem to get served up by the Premier League. But look, I don't want to talk too much on them, because, like I say, it feels like I'm taking something away for the lads, because it should have been 3 points. It was a great game of football. There was bodies getting put on the line. There was 100% commitment. I said last season looked like a competition winner. Today looked every bit the part. Playing as a number 10. You had Alanga showing leadership. As well with Dedic there, which I thought that was absolutely extraordinary. And Alanga for that goal, man. Absolutely fucking fantastic. Anyway, I'm rabbiting on a little bit, but I want to do the performance justice. Yes, it wasn't great what happened at the end. Yes, we've been denied in stoppage time. Yes, they've scored again. Yes, the referees, etc., etc., etc. But Newcastle United, I thought were absolutely and utterly fantastic. I'm proud of the lads. I'm proud of the shift that they put in. And the best compliment I can say is that I can't wait to get back on Wednesday. At times last season, when the players were going through the motions, it just felt like, rinse and repeat, another day at the office, same shit, different day. But it certainly wasn't that today. The tributes for Kevin Keegan, absolutely fantastic. The crowd's handling of Isak, absolutely and utterly perfect. And let's see what Wednesday brings. Let's see what next weekend brings. I don't think there's any reason to fear going down to Spurs. It's going to be a difficult game, obviously, their first home game of the season, but nothing really to be overly scared about. And yes, the new season, Newcastle United 2.0 has begun, and it's begun with an explosive roller coaster. Put a point as it finished Newcastle United 2, Liverpool, and the referee 2 as well.
And now for the final question I would like to cover with you is that it seems like Newcastle are actually making some progress in talks with Manchester City over signing Nico Gonzalez. What would you make of that signing?
Whoa. Wouldn't that be it? Wouldn't that be the one? What we've just been talking about there earlier about, the having that experience coming in. That's someone who kind of knows what they're doing a bit more, a little bit more trustworthy, if you will. Like, they're going to deal with adversity well and in lots of different situations. Now, we know that Lewis Miley can do that. We've seen him do that. Don't stay, we're not sure. So just to have that reliability coming in, mate, and I'd be very happy with that. I'd feel very confident with someone like him behind them.
Yeah, completely agreed. I think, especially the fact he's coming out of such a winner's dressing room as well is going to help us a lot. The fact that he's played under Pep, the fact that he came through the Barcelona Academy, La Masia. He's got such a brilliant footballing education that I think this could only benefit us and not only make us as a team better, but actually improve the other midfielders around him by learning off of him and by finding a balance with his skill set. I think that could be really, really exciting. So yeah, I'm all over this signing as well. I would love to see him come into the club.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely love that.
All right, brilliant. I think that is a perfect point for us to finish off for today's episode. If you did go on to enjoy this whilst listening to this on Spotify, please make sure to give us a 5-star review, and a comment is also very much appreciated. If you watch this on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment down below. Head on over to our social media platforms, Magpie247 on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, you know the drill, and we would like to see you in the next episode. Have a good one.